Our lives are mostly organized around milestones. Since childhood, we grow up, and this is the pattern we see: exams, jobs, relationships, spiritual goals. So it is all revolving around milestones. So if we let go of milestones, the question is simple: can we still be in action? I asked in our previous video as well that when we let go of milestones, when we let go of any intent or desire, there is no motivation to go behind anything at all. Now, if we let go of milestones, what will keep us motivated?
Enlightenment or self realization is something that happens to a person who loses all intent, and wanting that realization itself is an intent, which means a person who wants to become self realized or who is seeking, who has developed a desire for enlightenment has fallen into a trap. That is the nature of existence. What motivates him would be his conviction, his merit. His conviction is what motivates him. His conviction that whatever um, all the knowledgeable people from ancient times have all narrated, have all told. Thus, the concept of self realization or enlightenment is common, though it is told in different ways. It is the desire to know, it is the intent to know, or it is the nature of self inquiry. Now, self inquiry is not intent, but having desire is what becomes his obstacle. If you need something to be motivated to walk this path, you will not be able to walk this path. It means that you have not reached a stage where um, you are capable of pursuing self realization.
Then what is needed for self realization?
The conditions that are favorable can be mentioned, like the loss of interest in achieving anything, the loss of interest in possessing anything, the loss of interest in worldly affairs. This kind of dispassion is a precondition for anybody wanting to tread this path.
Vairagya is what you're saying, dispassion, vairagya. Now, what is the difference between dispassion or vairagya and depression?
Vairagya is dispassion, is loss of interest because you don't feel the need for it, you don't want it, and it doesn't seem interesting to you. Depression is what happens to you when you think you are incapable of attaining what you want. You, the difference is that you do not want to have it and let it go, or you feel you are not getting it and you strongly want it, but because you are incapable or you have been thrown in a particular tricky situation, you are not able to get what you want. So the desire is the difference.
Post lockdown, we saw a very strange rise in the rate of depression. Now, there is someone who is on this path of self realization. There are certain layers that gets peeled off. You realize there are certain things are just delusion, and at the same time, we are also in this situation um, where, as a social beings, we are lacking certain things which is making us feel sad or depressed. Now, someone who is on this journey of self-realization in these times where we are not exactly living like what humans used to live, we have put ourselves in many situations around us. I mean, we have put ourselves in in a situation where it is very hard to. I mean, I myself ask this question: if I'm depressed, or is it just I'm not interested in this? Is it coming because of lack of interest? I mean, if you if you look at lack of interest, and when you dig deep, why is this lack of interest coming? Is it because I'm feeling tired, or is it because I'm actually not interested? This is a question that I've been asking myself in many situations, in many day to day activities, and I'm unable to answer that.
When there is something, when, for example, if you know how you get something, what happens after you get it, and you know the entire process, but you don't want to walk that path, that is the lack of interest. The difference is in knowing, or the difference is in the ability. Oh, you would have passed your matriculation exam, 10th standard. Do you, would you, if were to have a chance, write that exam once every month?
No.
Why? It's not that you can't do it, but you can. It's pointless. Why do you even want to take that attempt? You're not interested. But people could be passionate about writing that exam every month. And every time they write that exam, they could score 1 mark more or less, and that could give them more excitement. When somebody sees that this attempt, result, effort, all this is pointless, what they have is dispassion. When somebody thinks, say somebody has written every year that same matriculation exam, maybe 5 times or 10 times, and could never pass it, and he is so sad now because he wanted to pass but could not, and he has given up on that exam. That sadness, the state in which he is depression. That's not dispassion. So you get the difference, I guess.
So, what you're saying is when we are trying to pursue something, but what I'm asking is in our day to day life. Forget about passing an exam. Forget about anything that is showing my capability. But let's say simply just cooking, waking up in the morning and just taking a bath, taking a shower, brushing my teeth. I'm not even interested in that. That is not something where I am displaying any kind of capability to myself or to anybody else. That's a very simple things that we do in our everyday life. You don't want to do or you're unable to do. It feels like you're lifting a huge stone on yourself. Every small thing feels so heavy. Why? What is this state? I assumed that this is dispassion.
This happens as a symptom to a depressed person and to a dispassionate person. The symptom is quite similar from the outside. For example, the say somebody has a cough. The reason could be anything, but the symptom is cough. The cause could be because he went out in freezing weather, which his body was not adapted to, which created cough, or he ate ice cream, which was bad for his health. The reasons are different. Now, what you are expressing, what you are explaining, are symptoms. The causes behind those symptoms is something personal, is something that you will know out of introspection. And an easy way, I would say, would be okay, don't do anything. If you're not feeling like doing anything, don't do anything. What is it that you can't stop doing? Just live with that. Just observe that. Because you don't want to take a shower, you don't want to brush your teeth, you don't want to cook, nothing. Don't do all that. Let the body give triggers for you to do all those things. Give up on all that. Still, you can feel your heartbeat. Still, your ears would be functioning. Something that happens outside would be heard, inside would be heard. Your eyes are functional. And still, as long as you are alive, you can also observe where your breath is. The most active ingredient within you is your mind. So, even if you are feeling uninterested to do those daily activities, if your mind has lost interest and has come to a standstill, that is what is useful to do. So, observe yourself, look at your mind. If something like that is happening to you, let it happen. Let it play out for a while. You will discover yourself again.
And in the modern era, we are not living as community beings. Right? We're all very nuclear and disconnected in many ways. Mm. And the side effect of that is overthinking, where you are always in your own head. When you're around people, when you're in a community, there is a very minute possibility that you live in your own head. Almost I can say that never happens. So you're always, there's no space for that kind of being in your own head and overthinking spaces. So what happens when you're being living in your own head is that your thoughts kind of, there is this virtual boundary that gets created, and your thoughts bounce on this wall, and then it gets rebounded back to you, and there is this extremely fast uh, thoughts. um, I don't know, it just results in overthinking. Now, why do I have to question that whether I'm depressed or whether it's vairagya? This whole thing is happening because I'm overthinking, and I have the setup that we've created is giving space for such overthinking, for overthinking. So now, when you say we have to do retrospection, how do I know that I'm not overthinking? How do I know I'm introspecting? What is the difference? How do I just control myself from getting carried away into overthinking?
See, watch your thoughts from a third person perspective. Think that you are the third person, the observer, and let your thoughts play out in first person and second person. Let your emotions play out in first person and second person while you become the observer who is the third person. Like what happens within you, a thought, an emotion can has to be seen like it is being played out on a screen, and you're just watching the movie. You separate yourself from your thoughts, from your actions. You're not your actions, you're not your thoughts, which means you're going in loops, thinking or overthinking. No matter what, it's not you who is doing, because you are just observing the thinker. The thinker is also a character on the screen. The thoughts he is having, look at those thoughts from a distance. That is your place.
When does true observation begin?
When you separate yourself from the thoughts,
How
from you
to separate?
separate,
How to separate?
when you practice staying in present tense, like what's happening right now, no, now, no, right now, yeah, now, now.
Is there any easy way to be aware or to be in the perfect present tense? What does being in perfect present tense really mean?
Being thoughtless, just being there. It could happen out of a threat, like something life threatening happens and you freeze. You're not thinking.
Now, this is something that this is the guidance or the mantra, the common mantra that we hear in this realm. But I think, yeah, yes, we do have many ways. There's, I think, the whole idea of meditation, or be it kriya, or be it tantra, mantra, observing the breath. All these paths are probably taking us to this state of being in the
Present.
present tense. Um, so when you say just be in the present tense, isn't it impossible to get to that state just by thinking that I want to be in that state? Or what does it even? I think it's like it's an end effect. The way I understand the state is like this is an end effect of doing something. Let's say I'm observing my breath, and someday when I keep observing, when I keep practicing every day for probably years or months or lives together, I arrive at this state.
No, that's not how it works.
And like we
If
have Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, which gives us 112 ways.
right, but if you start observing your breath, you are completely observing your breath only if you have achieved that perfect present tense, be it even for a fraction of a second, and you already reach that state instantly. It's not something that happens in years. It happens as soon as you start. You start observing your breath right now. As soon as you can see yourself observing your breath, see yourself as the observer, within even before you complete one incomplete inhale, you're already in perfect present tense.
Now, when we say being enlightened or being self realized, does the observer also dissolve? I mean, will the now there is something, there is someone or something that is observed. We can call that awareness. Or is awareness different from observer?
No, they are the same.
They are the same. So there is awareness, which means that is observed. Now, when someone is self realized, that means this Atma,
Hmm.
Atman merged with the super
Hmm.
um, super conscious.
Hmm.
So now, then who is the observer? Will the observer still remain, or is it that observer also dissolved with this merger?
Say for simpler, um, for simplicity, I'll give you this analogy. The observer is like a class, the super conscious observer, and the observer in each one of us is an object of that class.
Oh, you're talking about object orientation concept. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you could not have that object without that class.
Mhm.
Object has more definition, and that definition is what is considered as the female element in creation. But the intelligence is in just the class. So the object identifying itself as a part of the larger class is self realization for the object. That is what scriptures also tell you. The blueprint already exists.
um, when we are walking in this path, there is also this feeling, expectation that everything around us, be it the condition of the body, the condition of the life, everything gets better. Is a general expectation that it works smoothly, but that has not been the experience in my case.
If the path that you've chosen is the one that gives maximum comfort, that would be the case. If you haven't chosen that kind of a path where you live favorably in a way where you do not disappoint your own mind or the minds of other people around you who are living their lives in an animalistic fashion, then you are living in that utopia. Otherwise, if you are really serious about self realization, that utopian path does not exist. If somebody behaves like have taken that utopian path, they are only acting.
What do you mean by the utopian path? Do you mean the right handed path?
No, I mean where people say that every day is only getting, uh, every day is just more blissful, more happy. I'm feeling euphoric, more euphoric than yesterday, and they're not encountering any obstacles. Um, they are only falling into another loop. This uh, the real journey towards self-realization would be in such a way that there would be multiple stages and multiple instances where each aspect of your own self that you think what you are gets dissolved, and at each stage you find yourself losing something that you thought is truly you, and that loss will create a kind of pain because you wouldn't have uh, you wouldn't yet be a realized person completely. Like you, for example, in your meditation you realize that you got merged with everything else around you. There is no separation, you are one with nature. The loss of identity there, when you really experience that, you would have uh, tears in your eyes. Mm, there is both joy and pain. There is joy that you could reach that state, and there is pain that you lost the identity you were carrying for so long. And then you start questioning, I am, even if self realization happens, enlightenment happens, whom did it happen to? I don't even exist anymore. What did I do all this for? To lose myself? Who achieved self realization? I myself don't exist now. The identity has dissolved, right? Like that. Might not be for you. It might not be at this level. It might be prior to this or much more serious than this. It happens in multiple iterations.
Um, we say self-realization. We can create. You mentioned that we can create conditions for it to happen, but you cannot chase it. In that case, is it possible for a student? I don't think a student will be able to know, but at least a teacher. Is it possible for a teacher to tell how close is his or her student to self-realization? Is it something that can be thought about in that way?
Yeah, it can be, but so there is another nuance to it. For example, as to the realization is an experience that happens to a person with who displays or who demonstrates courage along the path. So the person could a student or a seeker of self-realization could be walking on that path for a long time, and the teacher sees that the student knows almost everything and needs take is very close. Just one particular clarity is required to help him understand who he really is. That is self realization, right? So there's just one more additional clarity that has to be realized by that person, not explained. And he has reached that final stage. And he stays there for n number of years. He keeps meditating. He never gets beyond that.
Mm.
He takes multiple lifetimes and he still goes there, stays there. That's all, right? That could happen to a person.
Mm.
Somebody else could start having a thought about enlightenment as something interesting a minute ago and could be enlightened 50 seconds ago, because that person traversed that path so quickly. What you have to understand in this example is our experience of time is irrelevant here. Yes, a teacher can see how far he has reached, but that doesn't mean rest of the journey will be completed in so much time. So even if the teacher tells you where you have reached and what you need to do, it is for you to do, and it doesn't mean spending another 3 months, 3 hours, or 3 minutes, or 3 seconds in that particular direction, or three lifetimes in that particular direction. You will cross. That is not something that is defined. That's where the trick is. That's where the tricky part is. But if you cross each step quite quickly, then a capable teacher can guide you equally quickly. and you do not need a lot of guidance if you stick to the first guideline with absolute conviction. But since our minds start questioning without letting us have that absolute conviction, we need additional guidance
When does questioning stop?
with proper knowledge of the self.
Is it even needed that we stop this, the questioning side of us?
You will not, you will feel satisfied with what you know after a particular stage. When you know the true answer to who you really are, when you experience that, right? You will know that the question and the answer is within you. The intent to question and the intent to answer is also within you.
Who is questioning? When we ask a question, it is coming from the mind. Anything that is to be, that can be understood or reasoned with, is all happening in the mind. Now, every question that I'm asking you, there is someone who is understanding it, the answers. Now, who is that someone that is questioning, and who is that someone that's understanding this answer?
Somebody, he, like, mm, the person who questions also is within your mind. The person who understands is also within your mind. The observer is just observing, the observer within you is observing your mind generate questions and also accept answers. Now, the mind creates questions like based on all the words, like an LLM does. It has logical pathways, but still, those logical pathways are defined by words. Traversing those words in different sequences, it creates questions. When the answer satisfies the questioner is when one of two things happens. Either one, you hear something completely new information from a person who you completely trust, then you are satisfied with the answer because you trust that person and that person is telling you. So that acceptance of that answer comes out of trust. Two, acceptance of that answer comes because it complies with what you already know. You know multiple things, and the answer given fits into that framework like a piece in a jigsaw puzzle. If it fits, you accept the answer. If you trust the person, then the person answering, then you will accept that piece. And if it's not fitting in the jigsaw puzzle, you will start questioning all the parts around it within which this piece didn't fit and rearrange those parts. This is how your mind works when you accept an answer. And the question that you have, obviously, is because you have gathered so much information, so much pieces of the puzzle, but they have not fit together. Those pieces are not coming together yet. And you want to know how to rotate them, how to fit them together, or where to place them. When all the pieces fit, or when you stop being concerned about the pieces fitting or not fitting, either that all your questions are answered, or you lose interest in whatever questions you had, then your is mind will come into a mode where it is accepting. So the mind needs to reach an acceptance mode. Once it comes to an acceptance mode, then it uh, bec- it you will have the capability to come to present tense, because you create enough entanglement for the mind that it stays within itself. You create enough understanding for the mind that it knows its own pointlessness and lets you freeze in perfect present tense.
So, can we say that understanding of the self, which comes from knowledge, and that knowledge serves as the fuel for the mind, for us, for anybody to get to go closer to that being in the moment?
As long as the knowledge that you receive, you utilize to create a loop within which the mind can let you freely. Like, as long as the knowledge you receive is such that your mind freezes. The mind freezes when it is incapable of processing what it just received. Like, um, if I tell you to imagine a hot sunny day where the sun showered ice upon us, and there, all over the ice, came 15 horsemen running over horses that were not visible, with legs that were not created. And the horsemen decided to drink water, cool water, from the ice underneath them, which was never formed in the first place, on a planet where no sun existed. And they drank the water happily ever after. What did you understand from this?
Nothing.
In trying to understand that statement, your mind falls into a loop, into a blank, tries to visualize that. but realizes it can't, gives up. The mind has the ego that it can solve any puzzle. Like the ego is who gets satisfied when you successfully solve a puzzle. Now, when you create a puzzle so huge that the mind feels impossible to solve, whom you defeat is the ego.
So, in that sense, right, if at all we find a teacher who is directly hitting at this ego, don't you think there is a very high possibility that we run away from them?
Yeah, there is. There is. And to avoid that, Indian culture creates the environment where your culture by birth teaches you that the teacher is your guru, is the ultimate guru devo bhava. That kind of dedication is necessary, and if you are not feeling like running away and holding just because guru devo bhava, then you are probably not with a teacher. You are probably with an ice cream shop vendor who will give you a nice ice cream whenever you want, even if you don't pay for it. Or he could be taking some money. But you enjoy. What an experience is what you will say. And you will feel like going closer and closer to them. So that person is nourishing your ego and you have fallen for it. I think there are plenty of people who can do that.
Yeah.